Hello, SummerRae. I'm sorry, I did not realize that you didn't know a lot about astrology when I did your chart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up and do the first part last to try to help you understand your chart a little better. Now, as you can see, the chart is numbered and divided into 12 sections, and each section rules an area of your life. And so these lines are all what's called cusps, okay? And so your first house cusp is this line right here. And your first house cusp is at 5 degrees Capricorn. The first house is also called the ascendant, okay? And it is the sign that is on the horizon at the time of your birth. So at the time you were born, Capricorn was on the rising in the universe. And that's why you're a Capricorn rising. And this glyph right here, which is like a little squiggly, that is the glyph for Capricorn. And there wasn't an asteroid for SummerRae, but there was an asteroid for Summerfield. So I used the closest thing I could find to your name, and lo and behold, it falls in your first house of identity and self. So I thought that was interesting. Okay, your second house cusp, okay, is in Aquarius. These two little lines right here, these waves, are Aquarius. Okay, it's the glyph for Aquarius. Okay, and the second house is about possessions mostly. And you have the part of fortune, which is this circle with a cross in the middle of it. And it's in Aquarius in the second house. So you may find that your fortune comes from Aquarian traits, Aquarian things that would be under the sign of Aquarius, things like technology. And it's at 29 degrees Aquarius. Okay, and each sign has 30 degrees in it. And it goes from 0 to 29. I'm sorry, 0 to 29. And so it's in the very last degree of Aquarius, your part of fortune. So we come over here and we have this H-looking symbol, and that's Pisces. And your third house cusp, which is going to be right here, this line right here, is in Pisces. And the third house is about the local community, things in your immediate environment, elementary school experiences, etc. Okay, and it also blends into the sign of Aries, and that's the horns, as you can see right here. Okay, so that's why I say that your third house is ruled by Pisces, because the cusp starts in the late degrees of Pisces, and it spans into Aries, almost into Taurus. Okay, so your fourth house cusp is in Aries at, looks like 28 degrees maybe. I'm trying to see that. 28. Okay. All right. And Taurus is this face with horns because it's Taurus the bull. And the fourth house is endings. It's the womb and the tomb, how things turn out, the home, the early home life, the ancestral home. Okay, and it starts in the late degrees of Aries and it goes into the late degrees of Taurus. And you have Chiron, which is this circle with a K in Taurus. Okay, it's at 17 degrees Taurus. So your fifth house cusp, which is this line right here, goes from the late degrees of Taurus into the middle degrees of Gemini. And Gemini is this symbol. Looks like a Roman numeral 2. Okay, and you have Venus here, which is a circle with a cross. And it's at 17 degrees. Okay, and these little numbers behind the big numbers are known as minutes. Okay, so you have degrees and you have minutes. Okay, and so we go over here, and this is your 7th house cusp. I'm sorry, I forgot to do your 6th house. I think I did your 6th house, yeah. I'm so sorry about that cough. It's from the middle degrees of Gemini into the early degrees of Cancer. That's your 6th house. This is the house of serve or suffer. It's also the house of slavery, drudgery, that sort of thing. Okay, and it's your job as opposed to your career. Okay, and then we have the 7th house cusp, and it's in Cancer. And the 7th house cusp is also called the descendant. That's what that DC is, and it's at 5 degrees Cancer. And you have a planet here. You have Mercury, which looks a lot like Venus, except it has horns. I'm so sorry. I just can't get over that cough. And it's at 16 degrees, and it looks like 38 minutes. Okay, and you have the sun, which is the circle with the dot in the middle, at 24 degrees Cancer. And your 8th house, this is your 8th house cusp, and it's in a sort of the middle degrees. I forgot to explain. This 6 and 9, that is the glyph for Cancer. So we come over here, and your 8th house cusp is in Leo, and Leo is this little squiggle with kind of a little tail. And so Leo rules your 8th house, okay? And you have the vertex, which is what we call a point of fate at 15 degrees Leo. We have the north node, okay? The north node is like a horseshoe with a T in the center of it. I know you can barely see that, but it's at 20 degrees Leo. And now the south node is not visible. The chart doesn't draw it out. But the sign right across from Leo is going to be Aquarius. And so your south node would be around 20 degrees Aquarius. Now the north node is, it's not an actual physical thing. The north node is more of a mathematical point. It's a lunar node of the moon. Okay, so the north node is, okay, you've heard the expression, what would Jesus do? Well, in astrology, when you see the north node and it's going to be in a particular sign, yours is in Leo, you would say, what would Leo do? So it's going to be the opposite of the south node. The south node is what you need to get rid of. It's the tail. Okay, the north node is the mouth of the dragon. It's what you need to take in. The south node is the tail of the dragon, what you need to get rid of. And so the south node would be, you would need to get rid of things that have to do with these Aquarian qualities. Okay, because it's in Aquarius, like I said. You have Jupiter in Virgo. Now this M with the tail pointed inward is the symbol for Virgo. You have Jupiter, which looks like the symbol for the number 4. And then you have the moon, which actually looks like the moon. And then Saturn is this H with a cross on the top of it. Okay? And so you have Jupiter in Virgo, the moon in Virgo, and Saturn in Virgo, and they're all in the 8th house. Okay? And then we have the 9th house cusp, which is right here. It's in Virgo. Okay? You have Mars in Virgo, which is this circle with an arrow. You have you have Mars in Libra. Okay, this is the symbol for Libra. It's the scales. Okay? It's the glyph for Libra. You have Mars in Libra, you have Lilith in Libra, and you have Pluto, which is this P and this L in Libra. There is another symbol for Pluto, but it's not pictured here. So, yeah. And now, let's see, we covered the 9th house. Okay, then we come over to the 10th house of career. Okay, this is what's called the 10th house cusp. That's the MC. Okay, and the IC, which is going to be the 4th house cusp, is across the street. Okay, so you have the MC up here in Libra, and across the street down here you have the IC, or the Imum Coeli, okay, in Aries. So your medium Coeli is in Libra, and your Imum Coeli, I'm sorry, it's hard for me to pronounce, is in Aries. So anyway, in your 10th house, Libra spans your 10th house because this is at 28 degrees Libra, okay, so it's involved in your 10th house. I'm so sorry, that cough is killing me. And it's also in Scorpio. Now this M with a tail or an arrow at the end is the glyph for Scorpio. Virgo, the tail is in. Scorpio, the tail is out. And so that's how you know the difference between those two. And so we have the 10th house, like I said here, this is the 10th house of career. And you have Uranus here. And Uranus, I don't know what this would be called, but it's like a line and a circle with these little weird little things coming out of it. I don't know what you'd call it. Kind of looks like a T in a way. But anyway, that's the symbol for Uranus. And Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, actually. It's the modern ruler. Now, then you have the 11th house. And as you can see, you don't have any planets in the 11th house. But the 11th house involves Scorpio in the later degrees of Scorpio and goes through the middle degrees of Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius is this arrow right here. Okay? And like I said, no planets here. Now, in the 12th house, this is the house of sorrows, troubles, and secrets. You have Neptune, which is this pitchfork-looking thing with a cross at the bottom. Okay? And it's at 20 degrees and I think 26 minutes. And like I said, this arrow represents Sagittarius. And also the early degrees of Capricorn are in your 12th house. Okay, and like I said, Capricorn is this weird little squiggly right here. So this is your 12th house cusp right here in the middle degrees of Sagittarius. And this is your 1st house cusp. And the astrology chart is read counterclockwise. It's going to start at the 1st house right here. Okay, and then it's read this way, counterclockwise. Some of the planets move clockwise, or some of the luminaries, some of the universal bodies or whatever run clockwise, and some of them counterclockwise. Okay, it just depends on what it is. Okay, and some things move much quicker and some things move much slower. Like the moon moves very quickly. The sun moves very quickly. The part of fortune moves very quickly. The vertex, the point of fate, moves very quickly in transit. Okay? And then you have slower moving bodies, which is going to be like Uranus. This is what's known as an outer planet. Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Saturn. Those are all going to move slower. Jupiter. Jupiter usually takes, I think, around 2 years to transit a sign, okay? But Pluto over here, more like 20, okay? So it just depends on what it is. Mercury moves fairly quickly. Mercury, Venus, Mars, and the Sun, Those are personal planets. So you have the outer planets, which are going to be generational, which is going to be the more slower moving planets like Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus. They're going to move slower. The personal planets move faster. The moon, the sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and so on. So I hope that helps you understand your chart a little bit better. Thank you.